Good evening, and thank you for joining us for tonight's story. We're continuing the story of Nu Wo, the mother of mankind. Tonight, I'm going to read part two, from the book Chinese Myths and Legends. This is part two of Nu Wo, the mother of mankind. Part two: The gifts to mankind. As she did with the first little girl, Nu Wo taught her children. After many years, she had taught them everything she knew. The children learned what things were called and how to make clothing. Nu Wo showed them how to build houses to keep themselves warm and protect themselves from the sun and rain. She also showed them how to grow plants, harvest crops, and tame animals, such as sheep and cattle. As the children grew up, they began to leave their mother and roamed the world until they occupied every corner of the earth. Nu Wo missed each one of them. Instead of returning to the celestial realm, she gave up her godhood and stayed on earth as a mortal. She spent all her time wandering from east to west and north to south, visiting her children. Everywhere she went, all people called her mother, and each human being was her beloved child. Soon, however, she began to notice that something was wrong. On a beautiful spring day, Nu Wo came to a waterfall where she saw a man sitting on a rock. The man didn't jump up, laugh, or call her mother. He just sat there by the waterfall. Nu Wo asked him, "Child, what's wrong? Why don't you greet your mother?" The man answered, "Mother, I was listening to the song of the waterfall. Listen, it is so beautiful." He fell silent to resume his listening. Nu Wo listened and heard that the song of the waterfall was indeed beautiful. She didn't want to disturb the man and left silently. A little later on, she wandered into a wood, where she saw a maiden sitting under a tree, listening to two nightingales singing. She also didn't jump up and greet Nu Wo. Nu Wo sat down next to her and asked, "Child, are you listening to the song of the nightingales?" "Yes, mother. Their song is so lovely. If I could sing like them, I would be so happy." Nu Wo lowered her head, thinking, "Something is missing from their lives." Nu Wo walked to a nearby river whose banks were thick with reeds. After much thought, she fashioned a flute from a river reed. It was the first musical instrument ever made. After calling her children to her, she began to play the flute for them. They were entranced. Here was music even fairer than the sound of the waterfall, the song of the nightingales, or their gentle mother's voice. Nu Wo taught them how to make flutes of their own, and soon they invented other musical instruments. Many more years passed, and all seemed well. Everywhere she went, Nu Wo's children greeted her happily, as they had in the past. They flourished. Unfortunately, this felicity was not to last. One day, Nu Wo came upon a group of men and women weeping. "Why are you so sad, my children?" "Mother, mother," they cried, "something is wrong with Lin. He lay down to sleep, and now we can't wake him. Please come help us." Nu Wo examined Lin. He was not breathing, and his heart was not beating. Lin's death was the first in the human realm. Nu Wo was heartbroken because there was nothing she could do. She thought, "What if all my children die? The birds, the beasts, all other creatures, even insects, have children and multiply, generation after generation, as all other living creatures do. Why shouldn't my children do the same? That way, they'll be here forever." She paired her children off into couples, one male and one female. Man and woman became husband and wife. Soon, Nu Wo's children were having babies of their own, and the permanence of mankind was assured. In time, Nu Wo was surrounded with grandchildren and great grandchildren. Now, wherever she went, she was called mother, grandmother, and great-grandmother. That was the end of part 2 of New Woe, the Mother of Mankind. We'll read part 3 another day. Thank you so much for listening. Good night, everyone.